Switch to my section 103 hat.
Appreciate everyone jumping on tonight. My wife's out of town, so I've had to. I was trying to get my 5-year-old to sleep. He has no school this week because of the way they do the weird breaks in Cobb County, and so my wife's in Los Angeles for a week, and I'm home alone with my 5-year-old who's going to put me through my paces this week. So hopefully he's all right. Older kid's Ubering to his mom's house right now, so it's been an eventful couple hours.
Busy times over there at the Quinlan house.
Katie, getting right to it, baby. Let's talk about the Coldplay song that I don't like, or the Gray Uniforms, which I did like.
There's some
Coldplay. No, this is not a read between the lines today. Just doing yard work.
There was some Coldplay talk on the message board on the questions too. So,
hey man, I've seen Coldplay. I actually in 2003 or 4 when they were on their second album, which I like their first 3 albums. They played the arena at Duluth, and Elton John came out and played piano for them. So that was like pretty cool.
It probably made the concert a little bit cooler.
It was also like I've never seen Taylor Swift or anything like that, but like it was the most kind of screamy concert I've been to. I usually go to rock shows, so.
You went to one this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to see Judas Priest and Alice Cooper and the band Fozzy with Chris Jericho, the wrestler.
Oh, nice. Singing.
They were the super opener. But it was a co-headline with Alice Cooper and Judas Priest. Buddy got us in the music business, got me and my oldest child tickets and went with us. So it was cool.
Nice. I don't get the Coldplay thing. I don't know who started that or whatever. I guess I'm not the target audience, but I don't know. It seems a little weird. They kind of just forced that in there the last 2 seasons, but maybe they're trying to start a new tradition.
I guess I'm at the point where I act like it's not for me, so I'm not gonna. Yeah. A lot of that stuff's not for me, so I don't know. But getting into the game, obviously, great first quarter, probably the best first quarter of football they played this year. And then the second quarter was one of the worst they played this year. Just kind of went sideways offensively. A lot of self-inflicted mistakes, missed opportunities, gave Temple like a hint of hope, and then came out in the third quarter, started slow, and then got it going with the Haynes King fumble. They still got to clean those things up. It's strange that they're having that issue when it hasn't really been an issue, in particular with fumbles as much. So,
what is that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a weird game. I don't want to take up for the Temple coach, but when I tweeted that yesterday about him saying they spotted the 21 points, I don't think he meant it the way like they just like gave Georgia Tech 21 points. I think he meant it like, hey, we're not good enough to beat anybody when we give up 21 straight points to start the game, much less a team like Georgia Tech. That's kind of how I took it. I didn't think people were going to take it the wrong way like that. He was pretty gracious in defeat, and he kind of talked about how good Georgia Tech was. So I didn't want people to get the wrong impression of him. Not that it's a big deal, but I just wanted to clear that up for anybody that was commenting on Twitter.
Yeah, that dude is a good coach. They look light years better than they've been the last few years. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on. I think it's funny that these like people jump in the stupid Twitter chat, like trying to like do stuff. It's so goofy. I can just delete like whatever you put on there, but whatever. Like, get a life, really. Like, your team's 4-0. Like, enjoy your team being 4-0. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, being a creep on the internet.
There's another one. Anyways, yep, 21-0. Kind of relaxed a little bit, I think, and that's the next step for being a good team is no relaxing. You gotta keep the foot on the gas and put them away early because it got a little hairy there in the third quarter with that fumble.
So Eric puts in an interesting point here. And I should probably put this up. I actually like videotaped I went down to the field for the end of the game and like videoed kind of them walking off and them talking, going to sing the alma mater and all that or whatever. And it was as much like they lost the football game as I've ever seen after a win at Georgia Tech. It was they were super down, like about how they finished the game, I guess, and played the whole game because that could have easily been a pretty big blowout. And the team was, I think, bummed out with how they played, and that was what Brent Key's press conference was like. Quite frankly, it's just the expectations are all up, and I think that the way this works, it's going to be an opportunity for Georgia Tech to have a special season. I think everyone's expectations are so ramped up that they can't even like deal with like not performing up to the standard, I guess, and it's starting to irritate the players when they don't, which is kind of a cool thing to see. I haven't really seen this like from Georgia Tech in a long time, so I'm very curious like what it is going to be like.
I mean, we'll find out a good bit about the team again this week. Get to go on the road against a team that most people are expecting to not be very competitive and
So
noon
some people
start.
said that like they're going to be like that. Temple might be better than Wake Forest. I don't know if I go that far, but Wake's in a total rebuild. They have a new coach that was not someone from this part of the country. Like he's learning all of the stuff on the fly. They had to put together a roster. It's going to be a big challenge there, and Wake's kind of strapped in terms of fans and support and stuff. And I know that market a little bit. I spent some time covering Wake remotely, and then a little bit up there too. And my expectation is it's going to be a hard game, but I think these are the traps they got to avoid. You got to go to Wake Forest and put them away early. You can't give a team like them hope. But yeah, what I was impressed by watching the Temple game was what they did in the third quarter after the fumble, and then I think they scored 17 unanswered points maybe after that, and just kind of put their foot on them, and that was sort of the end of the game. And then there were some cheap scores in the back end. There were 7 guys out on defense. They played a lot of different guys on defense. They played a lot of different guys on the offensive side of the ball. You got to see Dalen Gordon score touchdowns. That's why I used that picture for the show tonight. I thought that was a really awesome moment. But I think that, walking off the field and talking to people after the game and talking to some people around the program, it was, as Ian here in the chat said, it was learning. They gave them enough to like kind of complain to get after the team this week. They screwed up enough things. Like Haynes missed some throws, they missed some catches, they missed some blocks, some runs that they didn't finish. Defensively, there were a lot of things to clean up, and they didn't get home on some opportunities. They had an opportunity to get a safety. They had an opportunity to get a couple more sacks. I think it's going to be fun to see kind of if they can start to put this all together, because they really have, other than that first quarter, haven't really played like a really clean full game yet. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this team continues to evolve over the next few weeks.
I kind of hit on that in my takeaways last night too. It's like I don't think, or it might have been last week. I don't even know, but I don't think either side of the ball has had like a consistent like stretch of playing, very well. They've had ups and downs in each game. Um, I talked about the defense a little bit about kind of being still kind of figuring out what they, where they want to be as far as aggressive, as far as kind of sitting back and playing conservative sometimes. And that's part of Gideon maturing into a first year defense coordinator. So, I mean, more reps and more games is only going to improve his like comfortability level of calling games and kind of when he needs to do what. So, and they've still played pretty good through that. So, they left some opportunities on the table with I think at least 3 pretty likely interceptions, but hopefully those balls will start to find their way into the defensive backs' hands and linebackers' hands and eventually start forcing some turnovers because you need that going forward.
That would have been amazing play too, by the way. Melvin Jordan, like when he tried to intercept that ball in the end zone, that would have been like an all timer kind of like defensive touchdown score play. Like he got very close. It was a lot closer than I realized. Like watching it live to getting that ball in the end zone on the hit that Matt Alexander put on the quarterback in the end zone there. That was almost safety.
I wonder what if that would have happened. Would that have been a 0-yard interception return for a touchdown, or because since it was in the like
I guess so, yeah.
Like, it's in the end zone. I don't. I've never seen anything like that, but yeah, that was a.
Are you sure we didn't see that like happen to Georgia Tech's offense during the Jeff Collins era? Like there wasn't like I feel like there was some awful play like that. There's a lot of dark memories.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, David
Yeah.
Pollock did it against South Carolina. I was covering that game. He like picked off a ball from whoever they had South Carolina had some dual threat quarterback. And he picked it off in the end zone. Like it was like a strip sack too, sort of, and it was a weird, funky play. That was a weird game. That was another lightning delay game as well. That was also the game where the press elevator broke after the game, and like people got stuck that were trying to leave the game after finishing working, got stuck in this elevator. It was like 10 floors high, and I felt so bad for them because pretty much nobody lives in Columbia other than the few beat writers there. So like whoever it was had a long drive ahead of them, even if they were TV people. Was he offsides on the play? That's totally possible. I don't remember.
I don't know. He might be like Rudy. Um, yeah, I've been stuck in the Georgia Dome elevator back in the day at a state championship game before. It wasn't fun. We were in there for a good while. I missed a big portion of the Calhoun State Championship game at the end. But yeah, getting stuck in elevators not fun at all.
So yeah, it was nice to have a game that was sort of uneventful. There was no point in which you felt the game was like kind of out of hand. I mean, the game was like super competitive. Like even when they got it they scored off the fumble in the third quarter. You still kind of felt like it was all still there for them. And Haynes seemed like unsatisfied after the game. When we talked to him, the defensive guys were definitely like basically like we didn't play well enough. So that's encouraging. That's what you want to see. Like and I think that's the one thing about the way the schedule lays out without having a lot of really anyone else you're going to circle in league play, at least, which is all there is going forward until the Georgia game now. There's no game where you're going to be like, even if I think Syracuse now was probably the one threat to be really good, maybe, and they lost their quarterback for the year. If you didn't see it, he I guess tore his Achilles in the Clemson game and the win there. So you don't know what they're going to be like. NC State's sort of this weird team that people thought was going to be good. Duke was one that people thought was going to be good. They played each other, and that was kind of a weird game yesterday. So I don't know.
Shootout, and then I got home I think when I got in the bed finally, and I looked at the Cal score. They were down 27-0. I don't know what the final ended up being in that one. I don't think they made a dramatic comeback.
I don't think so. I saw somebody on Twitter that suggested the team walk home. So I'm guessing they did not come back to win that one.
No.
I haven't even looked at that. I went to bed too. But yeah, you just kind of worry about what's ahead of you. And yeah, they lost 34-0 to San Diego State. So much for the guy who had Cal in the playoffs. There was literally a guy I saw when I was looking at the bowl things last week. I saw a dude that had Cal in the playoffs, and I thought that was a little too soon. I thought Georgia Tech being in it was a little too soon, even after the Clemson win. But yeah, I think this is a great time. People should be excited, man. Like, Cal could beat the Falcons.
Let's get that out of the way first. How about that? I know the Georgia Tech show, so we won't talk, but I don't know if I've ever seen a worse performance by the Falcons than today. 30-0 at the Panthers. It was ugly the whole time, every phase. I mean, defense played decently. I don't know. Awful. Just an awful organization. I can't believe I waste some of my Sundays on them. So it's terrible.
Well, let's jump into some questions.
Yep.
It's been a rough professional season. If you were like a Braves fan or a Falcons fan so far this year, I feel for you guys. Like, I usually like to go to at least one Braves game, and like I couldn't even bring myself to like go over there to watch because it just seemed uninteresting. Even when I'm a Red Sox fan, they were there. I didn't even feel like going over for that. So,
At least Braves fans won't have any scheduling issues for playoff
for
baseball.
October,
Yeah,
November, they're going to have some free time.
that's right.
Falcons fans are probably going to have some free time in November and December if they keep playing like that.
Yeah.
That's all
All
right.
right.
You guys can focus your attention on Georgia Tech, show up in the stadium, and be loud.
That's right. Big crowds. That's first question on the board. Thoughts on attendance? I thought 45,000 was pretty strong. I don't think it was they were all there, but 45 announced attendance, 45,000 is pretty good.
So I think some people, and probably, I'm sure people on here that are watching this or later feel like same way. Like there were people that were locked out. I have a buddy who has a suite, and I went over like during the rain delay just to see what was going on. He hadn't even made it into his own suite. He was locked out of the gates because he was a little bit late getting to the stadium. There were a ton of people who got locked out during the weather delay, the 35 minute weather delay, whatever it ended up being. And I think that may have tamped things down. And then when they went up big early, a lot of people left too. But I thought it was a great crowd that is like probably about like 8 to 10,000 more people in that game has been drawn the last couple of years, and certainly more than it was drawn under the previous regime. And that's an encouraging sign. I thought it made sense. It was weird that they locked people out. That has to be some sort of weird insurance thing. But everyone just gets mad, and I understand that. Like, imagine you're standing out there. Unless you're in the plaza, there's not really any cover. So, like, it's more dangerous to stand out there than it is in the concourse. But I imagine that was an insurance thing. But it's just it's a weird deal, and a lot of people were pissed off. But I get it. Like, they're just doing what they're told. Um, And it was family weekends. There were lots of people with their families that probably helped to prop it up a little bit too. I bumped into a lot of parents, and when I was walking down the stadium, there were, even like the band. There, a lot of them had their parents with them tagging along, so that probably helped things out a little bit. But it was a really good turnout. I was pleased with that. Assuming they win at Wake Forest, hopefully for that Virginia Tech game, it'll be a really nice turnout. I don't know what time that game's going to be yet, but it would be nice if they draw well down the stretch here. In the last couple ACC games at home, you got Virginia Tech,
Syracuse.
Syracuse, and Pitt left at home. So But it was a good. Even when we were down for before they called the weather delay, I thought the crowd was pretty good. In the first quarter, it was good. Alex and I talked about it. We were shocked, like because the upper north had like a decent amount of people in it too. So that was good to see. And no one wants to sit in the damn south end zone. Like they will like be four deep in the other in the north end zone before they go stand. Like that's like the last resort for people to go down there. So I never judge that on like the attendance. That's always hard.
It's
Yeah,
very it's a very inconvenient place to get to too, because you got to go around that corner and go through the building. Like unless you go from the other side and like walk all the way around, it's not the easiest place to get to sit anyway. So I can see why people don't get over there. I mean, when the overflow students don't make like go out of their way to get there. But
yeah.
I mean, you keep winning and keep selling student tickets, and eventually you got to put them somewhere. So I don't know, keep winning and maybe it'll
Eventually they'll
fill
fill
up.
up. Yeah.
So, but yeah, here we go. Next question was the Coldplay song. We talked about that. Um, do you like the
It's
gray
the chicken
uniforms?
chicken sandwich thread of Georgia Tech football this year. I feel like
The
I'm partially to blame because I made a big deal about thinking it, not digging it.
um, do you like the gray uniforms? I thought the gray uniforms looked good with the gold. Like I don't think they should wear them all the time, but one home
It's like
game
a
a
once
year.
or twice a year thing. I thought they
Yeah,
would look great.
I thought it looked pretty good. Um, gray with the gold. So I know there's the traditional. Some of the traditional people actually like the navy better, but I guess it's your own personal opinion there. Let's
Hold on, I was
see.
gonna share a picture of the uniforms since we're talking about them.
Tajay Butler, Anthony's talking about meeting his family at the game. He had a really good game yesterday. He made some really good tackle. He was the leading tackler for the team yesterday.
Yeah, it was interesting. He played the most He played the most snaps he's played in his career actually in the game. I thought it was great. There's Haynes smiling after the game. Yeah, I thought it worked. Like the gray looked cool. It was better than it was better than some of the other navy and some of the other looks they've gone with. So I thought it worked.
I
It's
can't
better
believe
than some of the terrible gold versions of gold they've had. That to me has been like if you're gonna complain about something, it's the weird gold jerseys they've worn over the years. The one this year was not as bad. They've had some real terrible mustard colored jerseys and French's mustard colored jerseys and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think the honeycomb's coming
I
back.
like the honeycomb too, man. I like the honeycombs. I thought those were cool.
Maybe
I thought it was
maybe
different.
maybe a throwback when they honor one of Paul's teams or something.
Did Justin wear his He wore a jersey, Justin Thomas, when he was out for the captain for the game the other day. Did he wear? I don't know if he wore honeycomb or not.
I
I
want to
like the
say
navy jerseys too. They're just resting this year. Brent told me that they went with the gray this year instead of the navy one, but they'll have navies again at some point.
I want to say Justin was wearing the one of his white jerseys, I believe.
Yeah, it was just I couldn't tell which one it was because they did have. I think I don't know. Y'all are more into the jersey thing than I am, so it's hard for me to remember. Yeah, I remember the helmets being worn a lot. And so if they were worn 12, Justin wouldn't have had a honeycomb jersey because he was not on the team then because he redshirted in 13. Is that right?
I thought he played a little bit toward the end
Or
of
he played a
13.
little? Nah, I'm sorry. He redshirted, so he was on the team. He just didn't play at all.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about it. It's 13 years ago. So
Well, hey, 4-0 for the first time in 2014. That's 11 years ago. So,
it gets more interesting if you start looking at what has happened when they're 5-0 historically for Georgia Tech. So let's not get too ahead of our skis here, people. But there's a lot to be excited about, and that's the thing that be excited, man. Like if you're a fan, like be excited, be engaged with the team, get your friends to show up. Like this is the time, man. Like embrace it. Um, I'm just, I'm tickled to see like the program actually like starting to show what Brent Key has talked about for the longest time. That they should be able to play with anybody and any day and win games and win the games they're supposed to win and take care of business. And so far they're doing that. And for whatever's going on with Clemson and Colorado, you got their best shots. That was as good as those two teams have played this year in both those games. So don't like sell yourself short. Same thing with Florida State last year. That was the best game Florida State basically played last year, other than against Cal. So like you're getting people's best shots. You're gonna get, and here's the thing that everyone's got to remember. We talked about this a little bit like last week. You're going to start getting everybody's best shot every week now. So like you've got to, there's that margin isn't there. And in 2014, you saw that, right? Like there was the Duke game where JT was hurt and then they lost Carolina that year. And if they win those two games, it doesn't necessarily change anything because they still lost the ACC championship game, but it could have made that season even more special. So
That might have been the last time. That might have been the last time they lost to Carolina.
Steve's asking about young defensive players. 8, I think you're talking about 98 if you're talking about Montre Bradford. 8's Jordan Boyd, who's also a young guy too. If you're talking about him, he had a nice play on what ended up being a sack for Kamen and Christian Garrett. He had the initial contact, I think, on that play. Christian Garrett played really well, I thought. I'm excited to see him in the future. It was good to see Ronald Triplett kind of get going. He started the season injured, which didn't help him. He's a guy that gives you a little more size, a little less twitchy, but very, very fundamentally sound defensive end. Reminds me of a lot of the guys who played, you know, at a high level for a long time at Georgia Tech, just maybe not flashy defensive ends. So
his defensive line teammates funneled a sack right into his lap too yesterday, so that was good to see.
Yeah, they were pushing. They were getting good push on the left side of Temple's line the whole game. And yeah, Tajay played well. That was really encouraging to see. And that was a funny kind of back and forth Alex and I had, but I knew he kind of fell back a little bit in the pecking order behind those older guys and more experienced guys. And Tajay kind of put his fist on the ground. I was like, "Hey, I'm still here." And he had a great game, and like really all of them played well except Kamen didn't have the best game, but he was still solid. But all the linebackers played really well in that game. I thought Kyle Eifert put a couple of really nasty hits on dudes that probably impacted the game later on, as some of those guys got a little alligator armed in the flats trying to catch football.
They played. I have to go back. I recorded it. I haven't watched it yet, but it seemed like they played more 3 linebackers yesterday.
They were in the 4-3 a lot. Yeah, they what they were doing is a lot of the time they'd sub out they'd sub out one of the safeties, and Jai would drop back to safety, and they'd bring in the third linebacker. That seemed to be kind of how it worked most of the time when they did it. And Jai had a good game too. He's been fun. He's been a little bit chippy. He got a penalty that I'm not sure was a very good penalty for a late hit, but it was a iffy call. But he's been a real spark plug for them. He reminds me a lot of Jamia, actually. Kind of a smaller dude that just plays like he's 6'5". Like back there, it's weird. He plays like such a big dude. I'm excited to kind of see him continue to develop. That's been a really good portal pickup for them.
I think that Gilmore and Kelvin Hill have both played pretty well.
Kelvin had his best game
yeah.
in the Temple game too, and he played a lot. He made some plays. He was around the ball. It was good to see Rodney Shelley get around the ball. He had a nice TFL in the game. Amari Harvey was really into it. He was out there tackling the fool out of folks. So that was cool to see. They didn't get a lot of opportunities to get picks. The one thing I'd like to see more of, and I told Alex this while we were watching the game, was I felt like there were some opportunities to get more pressure on the quarterback and be a little more aggressive with blitzing and whatnot. And it's I thought they played back coverage too much, and those mostly got burned on those plays trying to play coverage. So, that's where I think Blake Gideon's got to kind of figure out what his team can do well, and maybe dialing up more pressure in different ways. But yeah, I was encouraged with a lot of what I saw. That's a well coached team. They're still probably a little light on the personnel, but there's nothing to hang your head about. You beat them very soundly. They got a cheap touchdown at the end, thanks to kind of an iffy penalty at the very end of the game. And it's been interesting. Someone asked me, this is an interesting question. Jamal Haynes' draft stock.
He had 100 yards yesterday, so I mean,
He had 107, and he
yeah.
had 40 something yards in the passing game and a bunch of catches. I don't know. I don't know what Jamal's draft stock is. That's interesting. They have guys like him in the NFL, though. There are a lot of like smaller running backs that are really skilled. He can return kicks and stuff and do some other things as well. He's very elusive in the open field. You saw that nice reverse he had, reverse the field again. He's very good at that. Haynes sort of threw a block. He kind of stood there like he was going to throw a block. I think he thought better of it, given the where the game was at that point. But I think he has some potential. I think if he runs really well at pro day, or if he gets a combine invite or something, that'll be the big thing for him. Or he needs to go to one of those like All-American games and show out. That seems to be like a real ticket too. There was a guy from the Army game there watching and scouting guys last night, along with a couple NFL scouts. So hopefully, that's where guys like Jordan Vandenberg, Jamal Haynes, Eric Rivers, those guys have an opportunity to get some things going. And then there's some young guys that definitely look like Isaiah looks like an NFL guy. Like, if he keeps developing, he has a real shot. We saw him make a crazy catch in practice the other day. But and they need to connect on the plays, like GT Boner's talking about, the passes to Rivers. They need to connect on those. He needs to catch some of them. One of them was a bad throw. It was a tough play coming back to the ball, but they're so close to hitting that play. They've had it dialed up so many times now. They just need to hit it. And then, Jamal losing his footing a couple of times. He was so close. I felt bad for him. They tried to get him the touchdown. He got stuffed on the second one. I think that was the one Malachi ended up punching in on the fullback dive. But, he's been close too. It was cool seeing Dalen do that. And then very funny to watch JP run that last one. I was surprised they ran the ball. I thought they were just going to take a knee. And then they ran a play. I was like, oh. Because I was going to videotape them taking a knee, and they handed the ball off, and then I just saw him take off down the left side. I was like, oh. And then the reason why they declined the hold on the play is so the game would end. If you had a penalty, they'd have to run another play. So they didn't want to do that.
So the 61-yard rush stands for JP Powell.
I'm loving the read between the lines and on my shirt. I literally reached into a drawer and grabbed a shirt,
the
exercise kind of shirts.
The comments about the Georgia Tech game, it's not getting mowed from Friday. That's it's not a flexible game.
No.
That's not happening. It's just in case anybody was wondering.
But it's cool that you'll have if things work out like I spoke about last week. I think it would be interesting to see what that's like if you have two teams that are in the top 15 playing each other on Friday night. That's going to draw a lot. That's going to help the eyeball thing for sure.
Yep. We talked about there's a question about the update on Jordan Vandenberg. We don't have anything.
No, we won't have anything probably till Thursday on him.
He hit it. He hit his head on that tackle, and just I don't know what the deal. He got up and jogged off the field though, so I don't know. It wasn't like a major neck thing or anything like that. So
That's funny. Jeffrey's asking if I've seen Romello Heights PFF grades. Yeah, he was in the 90s against Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, who's terrible, and Oregon State apparently is not very good. And then they played Utah this week, and he had a 27 tackling grade, so
He had
kind of
one
fell back to
tackle,
earth and
I
no
believe.
sacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's doing okay. Still not, I don't think, producing at the level of what Texas Tech thought they were getting. But
He's just saving it.
maybe he's saving it for the end of the season. There,
Yeah.
Texas Tech's played a pretty light schedule so far, so I'm not trying to go off of anything I've seen off them. Trip saying, yeah, they need more people in the stands staying for the whole game. It's important for recruiting. Luckily, this was not a strong recruiting weekend, but they had obviously a great game with Clemson, with the vast majority of like their top 26, 27, 28 targets in the house for that one, and even the Gardner Webb game. People stayed and watched some of that to just see like Philo play and stuff. So I think that was encouraging. But yeah, I think it's one of those things, man. You're in Atlanta as a 4:30 game. That's tough, man. We hate when it's 4:30 is about as bad as it gets in terms of a time slot because it basically kills your whole day right in the middle.
I think there's a question later on the board too about the recruit stuff. I didn't do a recruit reaction today because there really wasn't.
There were
enough.
like 4 or 5 guys there, and there were a
Yeah.
couple guys who came that they're not really doing anything with. So that was interesting too. They're committed elsewhere. It
I
was
talked
not a big week.
I talked to a couple 27 guys that I'm going to have hopefully more on this in the next couple days that had a good visit and pretty good players. But yeah, it wasn't.
Sorry, Ian wants to know what I'm asking Dabo if I'm in the press conference. Sweet. I mean, I think you have to ask them what's wrong. Like, why are they struggling with? The thing with Clemson that makes it so different than if you want to compare it to Georgia Tech or whoever is they've perennially signed these like top 10 classes, right? And they're not developing at particularly the skill spots. They just aren't developing guys. And Cade Klubnik has not really developed all that much. And so why are they not developing players in their program now? And that comes back to Dabo, and that's the things you look at. It's one of the things that impresses you when you look at what Coach Key and them are doing, how they've developed. Like Jamal Haynes is a prime example of this. Jamal Haynes was playing slot receiver when Jeff was a coach. Buster moved him to running back because he saw he had kind of some wiggle and some skill sets reminded him of some guys he coached in the air raid back in the day. And he's turned into basically an all-conference running back. Like, how do they not have those dudes like at a Clemson? Like, why are they have like 2 good receivers? They don't have like 4 guys who are solid on the outside. Like, why are they having all those issues? That would be what I would. And it's they're certainly having success in recruiting. So either they're screwing up their evaluations or they're not developing players, and it's probably more of the player development piece than anything else or scheme. Conference championships are not guaranteed to host. It's just the top 4 seeds or the top 5 through 8, right? That would host. Yeah, the top 4 get a bye. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not.
They're not tied to conference championship.
Yeah, like last year, so that won't screw up the seeding like Boise State.
But if like say Miami won the ACC championship and they went out, they would get a bye along with Ohio State, whoever wins SEC, like, and then there would probably be one. I don't know if the Big 12 champ would get it or not. It depends.
I was reading about Robbie Ashford, and yeah, their running back's good. Wake Forest, Claiborne. I watched some of that NC State game. He's a good one.
Yeah, Ashford. The Robbie Ashford kid, and then Claiborne, and then the guy that's the gadget guy that returns kicks for them, and he scored the first 2 touchdowns in the NC State game. He returned a kickoff, and they had like a long touchdown on jet sweep maybe or something. I don't remember.
I think he had
But
like a
you know,
go.
they're okay. The whole thing with Wake is you just have to like get on them early. Like you can't let them get going. And this will be their family weekend. They're gonna, you know, they're starting to run low on chances. This is a must win for them. Like you got to treat it like that.
Yep. There's a question about why does Buster seem to abandon the run when it's working? I don't like you can't run it on first down every time. Like, and
No, I
if
did
you
the stat in the mailbag. Was it? It was like 17. Oh, hold on, I might still have it here.
if you run a pass play like a screen or something and you get negative, you're not going to run it on second down either. So that and it can throw off the whole thing. So you go a series maybe without running the ball, and like that wasn't your intention, but that's just kind of how it develops if you get
And
a
like there
negative
was
play.
one where they did like a play action with Haynes, and I think it was one he got sacked on for the big loss, and he tried to wait too long for something to open up downfield. They had it covered well. He just needed to tuck it and run, and I guess didn't want to. Felt more comfortable and he was in the pocket and let himself get sacked there. Like that wasn't necessarily even pass pro. That was just, you know, that happens to everybody. Joe Montana or whoever, like they all are going to give up sacks like that from time to time. He just held the ball too long and was waiting for, you know, something big to open up downfield. But I think you have to have a variety. I do think there have been times where they got away. I thought they got away in the Clemson game from using the running backs and we're leaning on Haynes too hard. This game, I guarantee you that the part of the thought process was to not kill Haynes if they got out early to a lead, to just run him as needed and not do a lot of design runs. And I think for whatever reason, Haynes seems to really feed off of the consistency of running plays, whether running the read option and making the reads and running a little bit. And then that seems to get taken a hit, seems to get him focused for whatever reason. Cause like in the, he took a big hit after the fumble and then he started playing a lot better. It was weird in the second half. So I don't know what that is. Like, it's like he gets more comfortable or something. I don't know. Brent called it his gangster limp. But yeah, he hit his he also hit his hand on the guy's helmet and then played the rest of the game, so he was fine. Like, you know, everyone was scared to death when you know, he shows whatever's going on probably too like vividly. He's probably like one of us if we were like out there and got hit in the leg or something, and then you grab your leg. Like a lot of guys try not to show that. I don't think he cares, and so I think it makes everybody like far hyper like concerned that something bad happened. And then I think everyone's just worried about him because he's such a warrior. You don't want him to get hurt. Let's take a pause here for a second and talk about our friends at Section 103. They are bringing you the best in Georgia Tech gear. Haynes King, North Avenue Trade School, which I always enjoy. The Brett Key hoodie. Brett's been alternating the hoodies this year. He's got the white, the dark gray, and then that gray, the lighter gray. He was wearing the white this week. But yeah, it's where you can get all your great Georgia Tech stuff. It's from literally Georgia Tech fans doing it. So I suggest supporting them with your dollars. They make good stuff, and it's real mom and pop operation. So I always try to support local businesses as much as possible, and this one you should support.
And
Alex is a big fan.
they got some. I saw. I think it's past week. They said they got some of these hats, some different variations back in stock, so they should be ready for the surge with the fan interest.
They ask him what's Brent's favorite hoodie. That's funny. I would guess the gray one is the one he wears all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Whichever one he
Gold,
wins
white,
in.
gold this weekend. Ian saying, I could see that. Wake
I don't know. Does
usually
Wake wear
wears
black?
black.
Yeah, they wear black at home. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. We talked about Dabo a little bit.
I do not know they may not have the rights to sell that. So the way this works, having I worked in the merchandising business, different. So for football, it's a little different than when I was doing music, but like, um, you have different rights to different things. So like it just depends. They may not have the rights to sell a jersey.
Here's one that I wanted to get to on the message board. Talking about the stadium announcer saying it's fourth down on third down, getting that player's names wrong and all that stuff, and it says, "Are we stuck with the guy?" And it talks about being
Is that
him.
the guy with the briefcase thing that they show the video of before
Yeah,
the
like
game?
and
Like he's
seems
the
full of
Pope
himself.
of
They say he seems full of himself or whatever. Well, I know
that is a thankless job, man. Like you have like a
he's
half a second to make a announcement. They're wearing gold jerseys. Like I know their body types because I'm there all the time, and like so I can usually tell. But like I had to like look at one point, like with like a Montre Bradford and Hoffler, like and like because they're 98 and 88. Like I can see how they screw some of those things up. I would not want to do that job and have to say something like that. You mean you see, I make typos all the time on Twitter and stuff, just even with like a second or two to think about it. So I'm not going to criticize the guy. Do I like that he has like that cheesy video? It's not for
he's
me. I'm not the audience for that. But if
he's
you're going to have that video, maybe like be really good at and always get it right. But like it's
the tech man kind of was what I was going to say. Like he's not a big deal to a lot of people, that Georgia Tech fan and stuff. He's a big deal to Atlanta. That the videos and stuff is
yeah. I don't think he does a bad job. He occasionally gets something wrong, and like sometimes it's not his fault. He's going off of he might be watching stat broadcast. So we have this stat feed that comes up during the games that has all the stats called stat broadcast. If you have never heard of it, and sometimes the information will be wrong because they're trying to enter it real quick on a computer, and like they have different people that do it. Some are better than others, and it gets funky, and you have to update it. And they'll sometimes put the wrong person in or whatever. These are a lot of very first world problems that Tech fans are. You can tell the team is 4-0 because we're getting the Coldplay thing, the uniforms, and complain about Ryan Cameron. And I agree, he is better than the last guy. The last guy was terrible. The one that we were like got mad at all of us because we were saying he was going to get fired, or they were going to make a change. I don't think we said he was going to. They just said they were going to make a change, and he like went on social media and like got pissed off about it. Yeah, and he may have a spotter that's not helping him out. Who knows? Like that's a tough job, man. That's why Al Seraldo Jr. has been doing that forever, spotting. Like it's hard to do spotting. I did spotting for CBS Sports for a while between four-star covering Georgia Tech and for some games, and like it was hard to do it, even if you knew the team really well. But yeah, they did have a guy when I first started covering Tech. The guy who was pretty good. They had Ian's talking about. I don't remember who that was. He was pretty solid. I didn't think about it, so that makes me think that he was pretty solid.
He what's Ryan Cameron's a big deal to people in Atlanta. That's what I'm trying to say. Like he's a legend on the radio and stuff. So he's not like it's a different audience and everything from like older Tech fans, and like he's not
for the people who sit the whole game. Is that what you're saying, Alex?
Yeah, I mean it's not somebody that they know. Is what I'm saying. Like he was famous before this. He's a pretty big get some relevance in Atlanta kind of thing to get him to be the PA guy. I think he's done a good job like bringing energy. Like that's the whole point of bringing him in is get the energy up in the stadium, and I think he's done a pretty good job. That he misses stuff sometimes. It happens, and he goes a little over the top with the 3-2-1. This is when you're supposed to yell kind of thing. But
or like he'll say like Eric Rivers scored on that play, the scoop and score by Amari or whatever.
Right.
Like
yeah,
things like that happen, man. Like he's excited, his adrenaline's pumping. Like you'd have to hire like if you wanted something different, you'd have to hire somebody like a play-by-play guy, like Wiley or someone that knows the team. Like if you wanted to be really like accurate. So
yeah. So I mean, I think it's a good thing for Georgia Tech that he's doing it. Get a little more notoriety.
I would like to hear the band a little more. Maybe like an old man thing for me too.
Yeah, I think there's a question on the bench board about the sound system and all that. I think that's been a problem for. I don't know. Everything seems muffled. I don't know if I'm just deaf or.
I'm glad it is. It was too loud for several years to us because the way we're like eye level with the speakers and in the press box. So like it, like I have like an iWatch. The thing would go off like with the decibel meter, like just from the stupid scoreboard, and that would piss me off because it's like, why am I getting bombarded by the scoreboard? Like, it's one thing if the crowd's getting loud. That's awesome. Like I'll take that all day. I've had enough hearing damage from going to concerts. I don't need and play music. I don't need a jumbotron like giving me killing another range of my hearing with 100 decibel, like music playing out. Playing Hey Mickey at 120 decibels doesn't really do anything for me, man.
And we're trying to hear the
We're trying to
PA.
hear, whoever's like Kyle Snipes or Moose now doing the inbound in the press box. They read stats to us, and we can never hear them because the jumbotron just drowns it all out.
Yeah. So, but there's a question about the center. Do you think we should have gotten a senior center in the portal? I think they felt good about Tana and Harrison, and
Harrison was okay.
Yeah,
he had an okay game. He wasn't bad. He had to play the whole game for the first time at center. He had played whole games playing guard and center.
Yeah.
You got a funny joke about the blue hairs wanting to hear Sinatra in the chat. I wouldn't mind a Sinatra song like mixed in there. Like, you can mix it up a little bit. I'm not a country guy. I don't have a problem when they play like a country song every once in a while. Like,
I'm not a big country guy either. You might find that hard to believe from my accent.
With your accent?
I think I got profiled into being a country fan by one of the SIDs a few weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, who sings this song?" It's like, I don't have a clue, dude. I don't listen to a bunch of country like.
Alex is only into gangster rap, so like.
I listen to a good bit of rap. I'm not gonna lie. I listen to about everything. But country wise, Kenny Chesney was about my cutoff of. All this other newer stuff, not so much. Kenny Chesney was about as far as I go back. So, let's see here. There's another question about the South stands. Here's one. The two concerns that this poster had going into the season was game day and clock management, and then inability to put an opponent away. And he says that the first one's been pretty impressive, which I agree. I think he's come a long way there. But the inability to put someone away, I think, like we said, that's the next step in becoming a consistent, good football team. Is you can't have highs and lows. You got to maintain consistency throughout 4 quarters throughout the season. That's part of the next step, part of the jump that they talk about is not being so inconsistent from week to week, from quarter to quarter. So
here's a interesting question from the chat. I'm getting a little ahead of the sticks here, but wants to know if Tech matches up better against Miami or Florida State. And I would want no part of like Ruben Bain right now at Miami. That dude, he had 10 hurries in the game yesterday against Florida and was like a one-man. He threw a guy like a 320-pound offensive guard, like threw him like he was like a sack of potatoes. Like, I'm not interested in seeing that like right now. So I feel like Florida State is the better matchup. Florida State also offensively is not dissimilar to some of the stuff Georgia Tech does, so it'd probably be easier to prepare for that. I do think Miami's, if Beck gets hurt, it gets real interesting there, but they've done a really good job protecting him so far this year, so we'll see. And he's had 2 really good receivers there too that have really bailed him out on some of his less than great throws, like the touchdown in the Notre Dame game. Yeah, that was insane. By that, I guess, was the Daniels kid.
Yeah, LSU. Yeah, I think Miami's better on both lines of scrimmage than Florida State. That's from just watching from what I've seen. So yeah, I think that would be the tougher one, but long way to go before then. So
yeah, just get through Wake Forest, man. Y'all got to like remember the Brent Key mantra at this point too. And I know it's exciting to have some hopium and like get hyped up, but like you gotta get through these like you gotta get through Wake, you gotta get through Virginia Tech, who will be a wild card game with an interim head coach. Like I've covered several bowl games weirdly that have had interim head coaches, and it is like they'll like do what Syracuse did against Clemson and like onside kick after scoring a touchdown. Like you'll see literally any because that guy has nothing to lose. So Philip Montgomery was a head coach before, he's our head coach of Virginia Tech. He doesn't care. He's gonna do. They'll run like trick plays like 5 times in a row. Like he does not care. So like you can like run into a little bit of buzzsaw. So just go take care of business against Wake Forest, then move ahead.
Yeah, yeah. CJ Daniels was one that Georgia Tech recruited. And I don't know if he came on a visit or I remember chatting with him just a little bit. I think through Twitter or something like that before he ended up at Miami.
Somebody's asking about Cuse being better than we thought. So I thought Cuse would have a down year just because of their schedule. I thought they had the hardest schedule in the ACC when I looked at everyone's schedule. I thought that was going to lead to a down year, and they've done enough to win those games. I think with Clemson, they may be in that Florida State free fall now. Think about it. You got guys getting paid. They can go in the portal if they're unhappy. Like their Tech eliminated them essentially from more than likely going to the playoffs at ACC championship. So at that point, are they starting to feel like the season's over? It looked the way they were playing defense. It looked like they didn't care. It was a totally different team than the one that LSU or Georgia Tech faced on defense. So to me, I don't know what I put in that. I think Cuse is playing a little bit better than I anticipated, but he's done a good job getting his team up, man. And they play up for a lot of games. So we'll see how they sustain now without their quarterback. That's obviously not something you wish on anybody, especially Achilles. That's brutal. Like that's worse than an ACL or something. That's real killer. I haven't seen enough. Someone's asking about Castellanos versus Beck. I haven't seen enough Florida State yet. I watched that Alabama game and maybe like a quarter of another game, and that's it. I've seen a lot of Miami, but I've not seen much of Florida State yet. So I'm kind of want to get a little bit more of a look. Tripp wants to know what we think about the Wake matchups. They have similar defensive numbers as Tech. I mean, they've not exactly played murderers row. They were in a absolute dogfight with Kennesaw State. They played some other terrible team week 2 that they smoked, right? And then they played NC State, and then
Yeah,
because they were off this week, right?
Yeah, they were off this week. I mean,
They played Western Carolina and beat the tar out of them. And then they were up in the first half of the NC State game and didn't do anything in the second half.
Yeah, they I mean, they played well for 2 quarters of the NC State, and then they kind of got handled after that. I think it was 34 they gave up to NC State, which not great. I mean, Duke gave up a ton to NC State. That was a shootout yesterday, so.
Yeah, NC State, I don't know. Like, I think they might be like sneaky bad, but like are like, I have my comments on Dave Doran have been quite clear. But maybe he doesn't make it this year doing surviving. That Duke loss was pretty bad for them.
CJ Bailey's good. Like I don't think he makes some. He didn't make the greatest throws sometimes, and he misses stuff, and I don't think he's there yet from what people want him to be.
I just don't like. So they play Virginia Tech and Campbell in the next 2 games, and then they play Notre Dame on the road in South Bend, at Pitt, Georgia Tech, at Miami, at Florida State and Raleigh, and then with Carolina. That's like 7-win schedule maybe for NC State. I don't know. I'm not buying that.
But back to Wake Forest, I don't. I mean, I'll dig into them more this week, obviously, but I think they got a good running game. I don't think if you force them to beat you with a pass, I don't think they're very good. But you got to get up for a noon game at Wake Forest, so that's a whole different challenge.
every week somebody can lose. We've seen enough of this. Like if you've watched college football the last 5 years, like you see enough of this every week. And teams can get up and you can get down. Look at what happened to Illinois against Indiana this week. Like there's a lot of these games where like it's weird. So, but it's cool. You got a nice TV slot. You're playing on ESPN, not ESPN2, which I thought was cool. Like the staff was excited that not the football staff, but the SID staff were excited it was an ESPN game. I think it's cool. Like you're getting an opportunity to do something with the win shares, with the TV ratings. So I don't know. I think you are wrong, dude. He's saying Georgia State and Temple. There's a huge difference between Georgia State and Temple. Like Temple's a decent program with a really good head coach. Del McGee's a young coach that's learning his way, has very little support at Georgia State. Temple has a lot more dudes than Georgia State does, so I would say you're wrong about that. The over-under on the food trucks catching fire. If you didn't watch the Wake NC State game, there was a grease fire in a barbecue truck in the end zone in the first half of the NC State Wake game. And they were like down in that corner of the end zone, dry. Like that was where the game part of the gameplay was. And they're just billowing smoke, and they kept talking about it on the broadcast and showing the thing on fire and the guy with his extinguisher like
Yeah.
trying to put it out. And so that was very funny. And then everybody just kept talking about it smelled like burnt barbecue in the stadium the rest of the game. I like
Yeah.
Wake Forest Stadium. It's pretty nice. Like they have a good little setup. They have a good tailgating setup. They just don't. The problem Wake Forest has like an even more intense problem of what people complain about Georgia Tech. It's such a small school that like it's hard to just have fans for that sport. Like when you need to get 45,000 fans, they have 3,600 students or something like that. Like there's not enough people there. So that's a tough situation for Wake. There's not a lot of teams. I imagine they have to have like the smallest enrollment of any of the P4 schools. So yeah, it's just a tough spot.
There's a question on here about what is your evaluation of the defensive line this year? Anything surprised you, positive or negative? I think they're still trying to find the right mix of who plays more. That they've been basically line changing 4-for-4 or some in the middle of drives.
Doing hockey shifts, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure that'll get cut down as the season goes on. They've been inconsistent. I would say that, but I think
Garrett's been a really nice surprise.
Yeah.
I think you're getting what you thought out of JJ and Akilo and Matt Alexander are very steady. Jason Moore, I thought, had a sneaky good game in the Temple game. He almost caused a sack throwing the center back at the quarterback on a play, which was pretty funny. If those who don't remember, Jason Moore transferred to Temple for like one semester and then came back to Georgia Tech to finish out his career here. So I don't know if maybe that got him a little more.
He blew up 2 plays in a row, like right up the middle.
Yeah, he was fired up. He got fired up in the game. So this is what I saw on Saturday encouraged me about where I think this team's at. That they were disappointed with how they played. And Brent came in his press conference and was like, "I will say something positive. I thought Marshall Nichols we got to see him punt a few times today. Like he was being, trying to be sarcastically positive, like about the game. And I was encouraged to see that that was the attitude that all the players that came in, even Jamal, who's like usually very upbeat, was kind of, the only time he got kind of let up was when I asked him about Dalen Gordon, and he got excited and talked about that. But like, they were just like, "Hey man, like, this is what you were missing. This is what you're missing the last couple times they've had success, and they've had these games like Bowling Green or wherever where they fall backwards after success. Seeing them not get cocky was encouraging to me, and that's so hard. And I don't know. Someone's asking about Josh Petty. He got 2 snaps on Saturday. he's coming along. He's a young guy that Ethan McKinney's a really good left tackle. You're not going to sit him down to play Josh Petty right now. So Josh has got to improve enough to where he can push him, or he's going to get whatever the leftover snaps are, and that's it. Or they're going to figure out something to do with him maybe towards the end of the season. But like right now, he's in a position where he has a guy that's probably been their most consistent. He's been their most consistent tackle and probably been one of their better offensive linemen this year at left tackle at Ethan McKinney. And obviously the right side, Malachi Carney's been pretty solid too. And Petty knows more left than right. So he spends most of his time playing left tackle. So you're probably not going to see him there using Riggs when they want to sub out Carney on the right side.
And Petty's got still a ways to go physically.
Yeah, he's 285 or whatever he is now. He needs to get to 300 probably with that frame to be as effective as he can be.
And when you put on that weight, you got to learn how to use it. And
it was always when we saw him and he was like 245 or whatever it was. He said he was 250. Looked like he was 240, but like when you saw him, you knew it was not like this is not a guy who's going to walk in and start as a true freshman at left tackle. There just aren't a lot of guys like that. Ethan McKinney was able to, because Ethan McKinney was Josh Petty's size roughly as a sophomore in high school going into his junior year. And then he was like 280 or something when he showed up on campus. That made him more able to compete. It was just a little physically stronger. Less skilled probably on the top end of his potential. Petty's a guy that's going to take 2 or 3 years, I think, to really see what exactly his max potential is. But that's cool. That's one of the things Brent's betting on. He thinks he's an NFL guy down the line. But part of how he ends up at Georgia Tech and why he wasn't a consensus 5-star is because he was underweight. And there was even disagreement about what position he was going to play. Some people didn't think he was skilled enough to play tackle. There was the guy who used to be our Southeast analyst at Rivals thought he was going to play guard. So, I don't know, that's why there's such differing opinions about him too. But I really like Josh. He seems like a great dude. Saw his dad before the game. James, great dude. I didn't get a chance to say hello to him, but and he's doing all the things he needs to do. He just got to focus on getting better. Someone asked about Tay Harris earlier too. I thought this was a learning game for Tay. He played the most he's played and struggled at times and then had some nice plays, but he's got to, improve a lot. And the thing I would tell Tay, and I would tell him this personally, is, you're a true freshman. You're playing guys who are 3 to 5 years older than you in a lot of cases. Like, you're going to make mistakes. Don't get too hard on yourself. Like, you're learning on the fly, playing your first real college football. So, I would just say, focus on getting better each week. And he seems to be getting a little bit better. He still looks, it's flying a little fast for Tay still, I think, out there. But, safety's not an easy position to play. It's a little harder than corner. I think corner's easier to play as a true freshman. They demand a lot from the safeties in this defense. Blake Gideon is a straight up defensive safeties guy, like first. It's been his position he's coached. So he has a lot of demands on those dudes.
And Tay's another one that physically he's got the speed. He's just got to get bigger. He's a smaller safety right now, and to play the way he wants to play, he's got to be able to put a little more mass on there and to hold up and play against the run. Like he delivered some good hits yesterday. He barely missed that interception in the end zone that I think on Temple's first score right before it. So, but
I'm sure he was dying to get that one back.
Yeah.
They gotta start catching a few of those. They've had their hands on quite a few balls this year that probably should have been picks or were close to. They just needed to go a little bit more their way, and they'll start getting more on the plus side of the turnover battle. One yesterday being minus on the turnover battle, though.
Yeah.
There's only one in the game.
There's a question about Clemson. Clemson doing poorly. Does that help with landing Drake Quinn? I think the teams doing poorly doesn't help.
Doesn't always equate to that, man. Like unless there's a coaching change.
I don't think it matters as much as Georgia Tech doing well. Like, I don't think the balance, like Georgia Tech continuing to go on an upward trajectory is going to help more than other teams. Unless coaches get fired or whatever. That's the different. I know there's Arkansas.
I mean, it's different if you're going after some dude that's committed to Florida, right? Like that's a different story because of how hot Napier's seat is. Dabo controls his destiny essentially there, so it's more of a question of might he have different coaches next year in terms of position coaches or coordinators or something like that, but probably not even on that side of the ball as much as the offensive side there has been their issue. Their defense was not good in the Syracuse game, but with the Drake Quinns or the Aaron Gregories there's a lot that goes into these things, and you're playing a long game here, just like they did with Tay Harris. They got Tay Harris at the end of the cycle, so we'll see what happens. Question about a true freshman playing more snaps by the end of the year. Christian Garrett's the obvious one, I think, along with obviously Dre Fuller starting. I think Christian Garrett's snaps should keep increasing as long as he can stay productive.
And Andre Fuller was playing critical snaps until this week when he didn't play yesterday. So
I think Dre is, obviously. I'm trying to think of someone that's not as obvious. Jordan Allen's a guy that could, if Malik or Bailey get banged up, they're ready to play him. They love that kid. Think he can play at a high level. He's just stuck behind two of their better veteran guys at that position. So that's sort of the thing holding Jordan Allen back a little bit. He'll be a big part of the offense next year. I don't know that we'll see. Yeah, I assume maybe we'll see Shane Marshall, JP Powell at some point. But if they get Trelane Maddox back and Chad Alexander, I don't know where their snaps are going to come from. So that gets kind of interesting too. So they were supposed to give away Chick-fil-A sandwiches in the second quarter. I didn't realize that. Huh.
I said a Chick-fil-A sandwich a little while ago, left over from yesterday.
Is Winky the next OC if Buster leaves? I don't know. I think Brent Key has proven that he will hire. He's not going to fall into the Dabo trap of just promoting someone because they're in a system. That's part of what's going on at Clemson. You're getting to see that in real time right now. And he's going to interview a lot of different people, and if he has to hire an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator again, you saw it this time. He went and got the guy totally out of left field to be the defensive coordinator, compared to maybe who we all thought would be sort of the top of the list if that were to come open. So I don't think there's like hey, this is the guy that's going to slide in if Buster were to take a head coaching job or something.
There's a question. I'm trying to find it. That's what I was looking for about there it is, the very last one on the list on here. When Alexander or Maddox come back, do you think they jump into the number 2 spot? Not with the way that Hosley's playing right now.
No, and Hosley, the whole story with him is he got hurt in the spring, and that allowed Maddox to kind of secure the second spot. Chad's been out this whole time. Chad's been out since the Georgia game. Did he play in the bowl game? I don't remember. He's been out like for 8-9 months with an injury. He's getting very close to coming back. They're hopeful, the next 2 or 3 weeks he gets a chance to play finally. But so that Maddox kind of jumped Husley and moved him to the 3rd spot, and then Dalen was the 4th back. And that was how they were in the spring. And Maddox had a great fall camp and kind of stayed there. And then he got hurt the first kickoff of the Colorado game or second kickoff. And Husley got in there and just produced. And so generally if someone's producing and he's producing at a very high level and playing really well, it's hard to pull him out of there. So maybe you'll see more rotations. It gets interesting with Chad because Chad can do what Jamal does, and he's got a little more size on him. So that kind of gives you an entry. He doesn't have maybe the top end speed that Jamal has, but he's close. So it gives you kind of a nice change of pace guy. They'll do more 2-back sets. It would be my prediction when all those guys are healthy, which I think they're getting close to having all 4 of those guys healthy for the first time this year. Ian wants to know about the back-to-back illegal formation shift calls. They lined up in illegal formation on that. It was a little short pass that went for 9 yards or something. They had 4. As soon as the ball snapped, Alex chimed in. I was like, "Oh, it's legal formation." Yeah. They didn't have anyone covering up the line on one side. They had 4 guys in the backfield with Haynes. I thought the other one was on was that on Harrison for moving the football
They had
pre-snap?
a legal snap, and yeah, they had
So
an
that might
illegal
have been an
snap in
illegal
there.
snap and not a shift on that second one. I don't remember though.
I just looked up that famous Birmingham Bowl stats, and Chad Alexander had 6 carries for 7 yards. So he might have got
That game was awful.
that. Might have been when he got hurt.
They tried to give Jamal a goal line TD. They got stuffed. They got like 2 yards, and they pulled him back out and put Hulsley back in, and then Hulsley scored on 3rd down. They did try to get him the touchdown, to their credit.
Here's a question: late season? Do you see them using Kevin Roche like the Clemson used their big tight end? Kevin Roche played a snap yesterday on.
He was on kickoff return, right?
He was one of the special teams. I can't remember.
He was on kickoff return. I know that is no secret. I'm sure he's a potential field goal blocker at his height. I'm sure that's probably something that's up the sleeve for later on in the year if they can pull that out. A dude's like 6'9". Just got to teach him to jump up and make a big, sort of deflecting thing for a kicker. Yeah, I don't know if we'll see. It probably just depends on the health of that room. That room always gets banged up, though, man. It's just that's such a physical position playing tight end in this offense. It's hard to keep everybody healthy. They got 4 guys right now. I'd be shocked if one of them doesn't get a little banged up.
Speaking of that, this is kind of weird. I think this was a conversation on some podcast recently. If you have a tall guy, and could you just put him in the back of the end zone, like on a long field goal? Could you put him in the back of the end zone? He could jump up and like try to swat the ball down from like right in front of the field goal. Is that goaltending?
You need like a Manute Bowl like tall level guy though, man. Like right?
I don't know.
I imagine that hurt like hell, like on your hand too, like because the football's tumbling, right? Like
I don't know.
I guess it's losing enough momentum at that point that wouldn't hurt as bad, but
I don't know. That's the 6'9" guy. Maybe get up there and block a shot.
I don't know that his vertical is enough for that. I think you need somebody a little more athletic. You need to go get like Mohamed Silla from the football team and drop him in there.
I did think I even said that. I think I told you on that 61-yard field goal by Temple to end the half. I thought Georgia Tech should have put somebody back there. Like you never know if you get that chance.
Yeah, you did say you were, and it did go short. Like you probably could have caught it.
I mean, you might have a chance at one of those once in a while.
Oh, Alex is saying that's goaltending if you were to do that, like in basketball.
I don't know. That's the question. I didn't know if that was the thing or not.
Huh. I'm sure Nick Saban thought of it. If anyone in college football, him and Belichick when he was in the NFL, one of the two of them would have cooked up that as like had some weird guy buried as the 53rd man on the roster.
That story came out in the last few months of Mike Leach having the idea of getting a little person on goal line opportunities and throwing him over the goal line. That was a real thing. Like he brought that to his coaches.
Yeah, it was. Oh my god, that's one of my favorite stories. Mike Leach. I love Mike Leach stories. He was a cool dude. I got to meet him a couple times. It's quite a character. Still have his number in my phone. It was a sad day when the pirate died. But yeah, he wanted to like just do like a short person toss. I'll use a politically correct way of saying that as a way to like as a goal line play or like a short yardage play. Just have like a dude toss the guy, like literally physically throw a human over the marker or the goal line. I thought that was pretty clever. Maybe culturally insensitive, but clever.
I guess when you see enough normal football over 30 or 40 years of coaching, you eventually like wonder to how to like get different things to get around the rules. But yeah, that would have been an interesting play.
Ryan's asking about the hottest head coaching jobs in the summer in the ACC, if all the hot seats go. So who are the hot seats? We got obviously Prize gone at Virginia Tech. Tony Elliott at Virginia, they're winning so far with their soft schedule. Belichick, we don't know what's going to happen there. Dave Doran, probably, warmish seat at least. Who else is hot?
Stanford's not a hot seat, but he's going to be hiring
Well,
a new
that's
coach.
going to be a change too, but that's a bad job. They have a lot of issues there.
Well, and Frank Reich came in on a 3 months notice to do the interim. So yeah.
There's
more hot seats in the SEC.
Narduzzi at Pitt.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Cal Athletics is a hot seat.
Yeah, Wilcox is probably trying to get out of there.
Cal overall is in a bad place according to what some people have put out recently financially.
So I guess the best job out of all those is NC State, because they have good fan support, they have okay money. Virginia Tech's trying to claim that they're spending all this money. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. They got $50 million from the academic side, which would be illegal in the state of Georgia, with the way that the Board of Regents is set up here. So that's sort of fascinating to me. If they were funded, that's a decent job, but they have no recruiting area. Carolina's always that's one of those ones too that I don't understand why they're not better. They have money and want to win. So maybe that job, but they, I guess if I were to the handicap on, probably Carolina would be the best. The worst one's Stanford, just because the situation there is so bad. Probably
I would say
Tech, NC State, and then Virginia.
As long as Hubert Davis is the men's basketball coach in North Carolina, the football job's a pretty good one because I
guess Pitt's a weird job too. I don't know how to slot them into that either. That I feel like he's punched above his weight with that job, Narduzzi, but that's what the rumor is, that Belichick's son gets the job if he leaves or whatever. We'll see what happens.
That would be quite a deal if he wins two games this year.
I just don't know how you sustain success at Virginia Tech with the recruit. They just don't have a recruiting area even if you need so much more money than they do. It's what's happened in Nebraska. Am I traveling to Stanford next year? Is that the game on the schedule? Yeah, I'll be there. I mean, we go to every game, so I'm looking forward to that. I always like going to a new stadium. I have a really good friend that played at Stanford that is very heavily involved in everything going on there with athletics, and I hear all kinds of fun stories about how weird that is. But the Carolina people are acting like they got swindled now by Belichick. As a lifelong Patriots fan, I can tell you that this was 100% predictable, and went along with everything I saw when he didn't have Tom Brady playing quarterback. And even at times when they had Brady, they struggled to draft and support him with the right players. So other than finding, white slack guys, they were not very good at finding a lot of the pieces around him. They always had just random running backs that were they could never figure that out. Had defensive issues, wouldn't pay people, So everything that's happened with the UNC is very predictable if you watch the Patriots with Belichick running the show.
Who was the behind-the-scenes guy for the Patriots that people give a lot of credit for Belichick's success?
Thomas Dimitroff? No.
No, what's the guy's name? It's an older guy that I don't know. Ernie something.
Oh, is Ernie Corsi?
I don't know. I'm just going to say that guy's not with him at North Carolina. So let me see.
You're talking about Ernie Adams,
Ernie Adams, yeah. Yep.
You know, that's sad. I've met Ernie Adams. I feel bad. Well, Ernie Adams, a New England guy through and through. So
When
let
is
him come in.
Carolina and Clemson play pretty soon? I believe that'd be a.
Yeah, David Hale was trolling them on Twitter today over that game.
Not exactly.
I'm looking forward to going out to the library to watch Stanford, Georgia Tech next year. And then I'm going to try to go out for basketball too if I can. They do a West Coast swing where they play Cal and Stanford. I think that would be cool if you're into checking out basketball stuff, because Lord knows how long those teams are going to be in a conference with Georgia Tech or the ACC or whatever. So trying to knock those out.
I think that, yeah. I think that's the first week of February.
Oh, there we go. Yes, this was what. Yeah, I saw this too. Like, it was like one of those crap posting things. They said it was going to be on the Cartoon Network at 10 a.m. I thought it was very funny too.
I think that's October 4th, Clemson and Carolina. That's the bye week for Georgia Tech. So,
is it in Chapel Hill or Clemson?
Let's see here. Well, the ACC website.
If it's in Clemson, it'd be almost worth a trip up there to go like troll watch that. I mean, if you like watching car crashes, that seems like a good opportunity to. It's like a 9-3 game or something.
I think it's at Clemson. My dang computer.
Yeah, I don't have the energy to drive up to Clemson to go watch that.
Oh no, it's at Carolina, October 4th.
You're doing enough Carolina trips this year. We're good. We got 3 of those. So I was asking what CPJ thinks of this team. I'll have to ask him. I'll shoot him a text in the bye week and see what. I would like to try to get him to come on. It's a lot. Coach Johnson, I'll have to put the profanity waiver on the thing, and Paul's if he feels like opening up, it would be very entertaining. It's just I've held back on doing it a little bit. Sorry, guys. I know you guys really want that.
The tell-all.
I kind of was waiting for Brent to have like some decent success before I did it. That's sort of been my thought, is that while things were still either, just starting to sort of turn the corner or hadn't, there was not really the time to let him just dunk on GC3. Yeah, no, Paul has no filter now. Like, he's retired, he doesn't care. He would very happily talk about whatever. Trust me, had many conversations during the Jeff Collins era about things. He's very content with how Brent has handled things, and I'm not getting angry texts about it anymore, so that's good.
Key just got an extension this past offseason.
In December,
right? Yeah, so.
I'm sure there'll be another one if they have a good season. That's just the way this works. Someone mentions on the board that I guess people don't realize since it hasn't happened a lot in the last decade, but generally if you win big in a season, they'll redo your contract that year. Even if you've recently redone it, they'll give you, and then Brent has performance incentives in his contract anyways for certain things, but they'll want to, here you go, Alex. Here's a question for you. I think Paul's drinking a bourbon, and a cigar. Jeff's drinking I know Jeff would drink actually.
Probably some kind of.
He would drink a Monster. He would drink a sugar-free Monster energy drink kind of thing. That's, oh my God, that's one of my vivid memories from going up to Temple in 2019. They were all like on the sideline with these like weird energy drinks. The whole staff had them before the game. They were like white. I don't know if they were Monster or something else, but they were all drinking them. So I walked up to one of the guys, was like, "You having a beer before the game?" Because that's what it looked like to me. They're not on his energy drink. He showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's like kind of douchey, like to drink an energy drink like you're having a coffee on a football field."
I've never had energy drinking. I don't even know if I've ever tasted one. To be honest, I drink coffee in the morning. That's about it.
No, Bohannon's coming to Georgia Tech had nothing to do with Paul Johnson. That was actually a bunch of people, including someone who's talking right now, suggesting that when he got fired, may or may not have sent him his phone number and suggested that it would be a good idea to have somebody like that on your staff. But I was far from the only person, so I will not take credit for that. I know Red told me a bunch of different people all told him the same thing, which made him really think about it when so many people reached out saying Brian would be a valuable resource.
Kennesaw State got a big win last night. So
Paul had a small filter, man. Paul, you didn't get the Paul that I talk to all the time. You guys, yeah, he was very filtered, to be honest with you, compared to what you really thought. So to his credit, he was. I like the White Claws. That's kind of what they look like, but they weren't White Claws before that, I think, existed. But yes, it did look like something you would see like on one of those Bravo TV shows or something. Somebody drinking. I was like, hey, that, the weightlifting, all that stuff. Denim line. So many tremendous things that we never have to see ever again on the flats that I'm very happy about. So, ball coach wearing a cutoff sweatshirt with, 2 Zen in his mouth. Just,
sweating,
coaching ball and chest bumping offensive linemen.
Turn his hat backwards. A football guy.
I don't know that Rivers. A lot of it's bad timing. They've just missed on throws to him too. Like it's been a little of A and B. He's better at catching the ball than Singleton, who dropped a ridiculous screen in the Auburn game yesterday. I was watching that during the weather delay, but they just haven't connected for whatever reason with Rivers, and they got to figure that out because there's some big plays there they're missing. And some of it's on him, and some of it's on the quarterbacks because both Philo and King have both missed really open touchdowns to him that would have been 1-score plays. They've had it dialed up.
He still made some decent plays and got some yards on those speed sweeps. Like he hadn't been a non-factor. Like there's big plays still out there for him to make, but it's not like he's been forgotten about.
I like Eric Singleton. He is sporting a PFF of 71 this season. They've tried to force feed him the ball. It's not necessarily been super effective. He had a drop on Saturday, like I said, on a screen that was real easy. I think that may have been his first drop this year. He had 8 last year, I think. He's been solid. He's not like their go-to guy though. That's the Cam Coleman kid. Is that his name?
Yeah, they've got 2 or 3 guys. I saw Auburn fans complaining today when the SEC released that thing about the officiating mistake in the second quarter. Oklahoma did one of the Demarius Thomas play, or I think it was Demarius, where
on the fake
ran him
goal
off the field. Yeah, and apparently Oklahoma did that yesterday, and they got no penalty was called, but that was in the second quarter, and then Auburn came back and took the lead in the fourth quarter. So that didn't.
Maybe don't get sacked 50 times in the game.
I don't think that cost you the game.
When there were 20 sacks in that game or something crazy.
I know Oklahoma had 8 at one point in third or fourth quarter. Yeah. But
now you got me going down a rabbit hole looking at Auburn.
I think Auburn plays Texas A&M this week too, so they They got to turn. They got to
Oh, I
get.
guess it was the other way. I think Auburn had all the sacks in the game. They gave up 4 and had 9 quarterback pressures. What did Oklahoma? No, what the hell? I don't know. PFF might be tripping on that one.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody in the chat said Oklahoma had 10 sacks yesterday, school record.
Yeah, I just remember seeing the guy. They were doing someone posted the meme of the guy in the swimming pool playing quarterback and then getting knocked into the water. Yeah, PFF numbers are just wrong. I don't know what that's about. Or oh, you know what? Sorry, I was looking at the wrong stat. I was looking at apparently the sacks they're not crediting to the offensive line. They're crediting it to someone else blocking or on the quarterback. They're not O-line sacks. Auburn media always feels like they get screwed whenever they lose a game. There are many programs like that in the SEC. As someone that's covered, Miami looks fairly for real. That was like I thought if they when Florida cut it to 13-7, Alex and I were walking back to our cars last night watching. He was streaming the game on his phone, and then they proceeded to just totally like crap themselves, Florida, the rest of the game, and couldn't move the ball. So I don't know. That was normally a game that Mario would lose, and he won.
That's what I was about to say. That's a game that he finds a way to lose, and they ended up having like an 8-minute touchdown drive, and then they scored again after that. So yeah, I mean, I think they're good. I think they're really good at both lines of scrimmage, like I said earlier, and that's the difference in what they've had a lot of years. So.
Anything else you want to wrap up with one last question?
I think I got to the bottom. I think that Hosley question was the last one.
Yeah, Auburn can't block, or Tech can't block Auburn, right? That's what my buddy Chuck Oliver once said. I'm hoping to see like a cool Georgia Tech game. Like if they were to make the playoffs, like I want to see like a cool, give me Ohio State or somebody like cool, not Florida State. The key to the game this Saturday will be starting fast like they did against Temple, and then not having those lulls. They've got to keep the foot down on Wake. You can't play with your food, as somebody put it on the board. You gotta just put them out of their misery and eat the win.
Yep.
Move on.
I'd say yeah. If you get a lead early and make them have to throw the ball a good bit, I think you'd be in good shape with their quarterback.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone joining us on this fine Sunday evening. I'm about to say Saturday, Sunday evening. And we'll be back next week. And Alex will have all of our typical preview stuff. We'll be up in Winston to watch the game. And we'll do a show again next week. And hopefully there'll be some more interesting news coming up. We're getting close to probably starting to see some of the 27 kids pop and some other stuff. Appreciate everyone for joining us, and have a great night, and good luck to Georgia Tech this weekend at Wake Forest.
For sure.